All right, let's jump right into this explainer. If you're the kind of person who loves finding the extraordinary hiding right in plain sight, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're taking something incredibly ordinary, an everyday object you probably just pass back and forth across a counter without even thinking about it, and we're going to completely dissect it. We are launching a visual investigation into the anatomy of pocket change, and we're specifically focusing on one very fascinating 2022 coin. We're going to break down the design, the function, and all the little secrets stamped right onto its surface.
So, how much history in art can actually fit in the palm of your hand? It's a fun question, right? We usually think of galleries and museums as the only places where real art lives. But actually, there are millions of miniature sculptures circulating in our pockets right now. Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to challenge how we look at everyday currency. Honestly, by the end of this explainer, I don't think you'll ever look at the loose change rattling around in your pocket the same way again.
Okay, take a look at the piece we've got right here. At a super quick glance, it looks pretty mundane. It's a standard, circulating €2 coin. It's got a bit of shine, maybe a bit of wear and tear, and it does a very basic economic job. You know, buying a quick cup of coffee or freeing a shopping cart. But when we actually stop and look at it, really look, we can see this is a deeply layered piece of design. Literally every millimeter of this metal has been intentionally engineered.
Part 1. Anatomy of the coin.
Treating this coin like a physical specimen under a microscope, the very first thing that jumps out is that stark color contrast. This is what's known as a bimetallic coin. It's made up of two totally distinct metals or alloys, which visually and physically separates the inner core from the outer ring. And this isn't just to make it look cool. Bimetallic construction is incredibly difficult for counterfeiters to fake. It perfectly marries high-level security with that beautiful visual contrast, giving us this distinct silver-colored outer boundary and a really warm gold-colored inner canvas.
As we zoom in and investigate the different quadrants of our coin today, we've got a specific checklist of visual evidence to hunt down. We just checked off that two-tone metal composition. Next up, we're going to look for the 12 distinct stars on the border, the very prominent denomination value, the specific 2022 timestamp, and finally, a highly detailed classical portrait. So, that's our roadmap for breaking down the anatomy of this specific object.
Moving on to Part 2. The outer ring.
Now, direct your eyes specifically to that silver-colored perimeter. Notice how it acts as this permanent frame for whatever happens to be placed in the center. Etched right into this silver ring, you'll find exactly 12 evenly spaced, 5-pointed stars. They orbit the inner circle just perfectly, creating a really satisfying sense of balance and containment right at the edge. What's really fascinating here is how these outer stars act as a unified, repeating pattern. In the context of the euro, these 12 stars are actually the symbol of the European Union. They represent unity, solidarity, and harmony across the nations of Europe. So before we even look at the unique localized design right in the middle, this outer ring is already establishing a macro symbol. It's telling us that while the art inside might belong to one specific nation, the object itself belongs to a much larger, unified collective.
Which brings us to Part 3, Value and Timestamp.
Just look at the sheer scale of the number 2 on the left side of the coin. It is massive. And that makes total sense because when you are fumbling in your pocket or quickly paying a cashier, utility is everything. This prominent denomination value is designed to be completely unmissable, communicating its economic worth in a fraction of a second, no matter how rushed you are.
Now, let's guide the eye closer to that left side. Right beneath that giant 2, we clearly see the word euro. But look closely at the background directly behind those characters. Do you see those subtle horizontal lines cutting through? This is such a brilliant piece of design. By adding those textured lines, the Mint makes sure the left side isn't just some flat, blank space. It gives it visual weight, it balances out the complex artwork on the right side, and it adds yet another layer of complexity to deter any counterfeiters.
Next up, we have the temporal marker 2022. Think about it. A coin is essentially a tiny time capsule. This single number permanently anchors this little piece of metal to one specific, unchangeable moment in human history.
But notice exactly where they hid this timestamp. It curves so elegantly upwards, right along the right edge of that gold-colored center, tucked right next to the central figure. It isn't just stamped rigidly across the top, it actually contours to the shape of the coin and the shape of the art itself. And that seamlessly leads us right into the absolute most stunning feature of our specimen.
Part 4. The central portrait.
This is where the strict, boring utility of money just completely gives way to pure artistic expression. Dominating the center and the right side of the inner core is this classical, incredibly detailed portrait of a woman facing left. The level of intricate engraving here is simply astounding, especially when you remember this is something mass-produced for everyday circulation. Just look at the rich detailing in her hair and that elaborate headdress she's wearing. Look at the subtle shading they achieved just by varying the depth of the stamp on the metal. It really is a pocket-sized masterpiece.
So the crucial takeaway here is the visual tension this portrait creates. Up until now, we've been looking at very rigid, mathematical elements, right? Evenly spaced geometric stars, stark horizontal lines, big blocky numbers. But then here, right in the center, we get these organic, flowing, intricate lines used to craft human facial features. It is literally the human element permanently carved into cold, unforgiving metal. It brings a profound sense of identity to what is otherwise just a simple tool for commerce.
Okay, now I want you to focus your eyes closely on the upper left side of the inner circle, right around that number 2. Do you see that heavy, dark shadow, that tarnish? Yeah, that wasn't designed by the mint. That is the physical patina of commerce. It's actual wear and tear. It's oxidation from the oils on human skin, from friction sliding around in wallets, from traveling through countless hands, vending machines, and who knows, maybe the occasional trip through a washing machine since it was minted back in 2022. It's a great reminder that this isn't just some static piece of art locked under museum glass. It's a living, circulating object carrying the physical history of its own use.
When we zoom back out to view the entire artifact, we can really synthesize everything we've just uncovered. We see how those uniform 12 outer stars, the bold, instantly readable value, that subtly placed 2022 timestamp, and the deeply intricate humanistic portrait all just harmonize perfectly into a single design. It truly is a masterclass in merging function, high art, security, and time into a canvas that's barely an inch wide.
So the next time you are handed your change at a coffee shop or the grocery store, I want you to just pause before you drop it in your pocket. Take maybe 3 seconds to actually look at it. What untold stories, what miniature masterpieces, what hidden symbols are literally sitting right there in the palm of your hand? Because there is a whole world of design waiting to be discovered in the absolute most ordinary of places. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep observing and keep learning.